3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome back to the Briones Pickleball Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Briones. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking a lot about paddles. But before that, we have a special guest. You may have seen him. If you haven't been watching our YouTube channel, then you should be. But we got Jordan Yeager. Jordan.
Awesome.
What's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Thanks for having me on. It's kind of like a dream, kind of like a box that needed to be checked.
Yeah? Cool, man. So, yeah, this is Jordan Yeager. Again, if you haven't been watching our channel, all the most recent paddle reviews Jordan here has been reviewing, or you can refer to him as Yeager, because we don't want to get people confused here.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna get to know Jordan a little bit today. We actually met, I don't know, a couple years ago or 3. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like
really
right when I started. So it was like probably 2020 still, and that's right when I kind of get into it because all the tennis courts were locked up. For COVID. And so, but pickleball courts are open for some reason. So I'm like, oh, this is a racket sport I can play still. And then, just everyone gets addicted, and I got addicted just like everyone else. And
yeah. Cool, man.
I'm here.
All right. So like I said, in this episode, we are going to talk a lot about paddles and kind of just go through also talk about how the game has changed and a whole bunch of other things. And then at the very end, we're going to talk about nationals. Nationals in Texas has just finished, and we want to talk a little bit about that. Jordan is not just a random guy on the courts, a paddle reviewer. He's actually a very high-level player, and you can probably see from the videos. But we're probably going to have more content with him in it. But yeah, I would say, Jordan, you probably are the highest level paddle reviewer right now. What would you say? What would you say to that?
It's so there's some pretty good ones.
Okay.
Pickleball Effect, he's solid.
Okay.
Forgive me, I don't know their names. I haven't been doing this that long. But then the guy that does rackets and runners, he's a solid player as well.
Yeah, I've seen some singles points. Yeah,
for sure. Chris, everyone knows he's a 3.5, so not
yeah, we can't really put him there.
Yeah, or Will,
Shout out really quick to Chris and Will. They're actually friendly banter here. They're actually really great friends of mine. So if you haven't checked out Pickleball Studio, go ahead and check their channel out. They provide a lot of great content and tips, and also obviously great paddle reviews. Chris, thanks for all your help. He's such a good guy. He's actually, just to throw it out there, he's actually, kind of talked to me a lot about paddle reviews, and I told him I want to start doing them on the channel and stuff. So he's a great guy. Go check it out. But yeah, I couldn't do it because of a lot of you. So why Jordan is here and why I actually asked him to do paddle reviews was because a lot of you thought I was biased or something. Okay, it's not like I wear other paddle manufacturers shirts or anything like that. Okay. I actually talked to Jordan, probably how long? I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
And, so, Jordan is, doing our paddle reviews now on our channel. Just really quick, Jordan, how has that been so far? And what have you learned, in the past 2 or 3 months?
Oh yeah, how's it going so far? I will say it's much harder than it looks. I originally, when I first started to play and paddle reviews became a thing,
Yeah.
I mean, I started watching Pickleball Studio and the reviews that Chris was doing, and it was just really captured my attention. I've always been into, looking at reviews to buy whatever product I'm into. I'm just kind of like a nerd like that when buying a product that's kind of higher value, above $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so when I first got into it, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great. I'd be just like Chris. It's so hard. And yeah, so he does an amazing job, and he has the success that he has because he does all the little things behind the scenes that no one really sees. So, but yeah, so sure. First thing, it's harder than I thought. And then secondly, it's I've had so much fun playing with, all these different kinds of paddles, because traditionally, I'll play with a paddle for 6 months to a year until I feel like it's lacking, or if it just dies. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll look into getting a new paddle. But going from like a paddle to paddle every 2 weeks or so, and then feeling all the differences, or longer, it's been super interesting. It really puts into context, okay, which paddle manufacturers put more effort into certain things than others.
Yeah.
And it's just been really cool to see the contrast, because I don't think most people aren't going out and demoing, 20 paddles. They might demo like 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So that's the biggest thing, has just been the difference in how each play and how I have to adapt my play style towards whatever paddle I'm playing with. Because I think I can just go out there and play the same with every paddle, and it's just not the case.
Yeah.
So that was weird, because I'm like, oh, this is just a different paddle. I'll play how I normally do, and it'll be fine. I can make small adjustments, but I'm surprised with how big of an adjustment I've had to make going from paddle to paddle.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely talk about that. So especially for the viewers out there, I mean, everyone here, if you're watching, you obviously probably play pickleball, or you're just getting into it. And when it comes to purchasing a new paddle or trying to find something, I'm sure it's not the easiest thing, because everyone can't just go out there and try them all. Mm-hmm. Obviously, luckily here, or we have a lot of paddles to try, but that's why we kind of started doing the paddle reviews. Kaden and I started first, trying to give you guys the honest feedback of what we thought. Obviously, Jordan now is taking that on, so that's our goal here. As Jordan keeps going and you guys get to know him more and more, I'm sure his goal is to be the most brutally honest as he can. Mm-hmm. And also know that you talked about, and we'll dive deeper into this, but you talked about like different play styles, different people, but your play style may be different, totally different than someone else's.
100%.
Right? So Jordan has a lot of power. I mean, he has a great backhand flick roll, and he has a lot of good shots, and he uses a lot of topspin, right? So and then other players might be a little bit different, and your game style might be a little bit different. So we can talk about maybe later on in the show, how that is. But let's first talk about really quick how we met. Sure. Do you remember the first time that we met?
I do, because it was such a shock for me, because when I first started, I would look up stuff on YouTube all the time, and I first initially started playing pickleball, playing singles, and I was like, okay, I want to get into doubles. I don't really know.
Oh, you started singles first?
Yeah, with my uncle, just me and my uncle for 2 months, just smacking out playing singles, tennis style. Yeah. Like not close the net or the kitchen line or anything, going into the kitchen, finishing off points. We didn't really know the rules. Okay. Yeah. So I initially learned all the rules of pickleball and really how to play from your videos. And cool. When I first went to the courts that we have here locally and I saw you playing, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Jordan Briones.
Oh, okay.
So I was literally like a little fanboy, just because you're the pioneer of kind of pickleball coaching online on the YouTube space. And I saw you, and you were nice enough to, play a couple games with us, and you were giving us some pointers and stuff. And so the first time I met you, I've been playing for maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay. So that was 3 months in. Yeah. And I do remember now, during that time too, you were probably, what would you say, 4-0, 4-5?
I would not even 4-5. I would say I was a 4-0.
Okay.
Like a low level 4-0.
Got it. So you definitely started above 3-5.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I thought I was way better than I was. I'm like, dude, I go out and play in tournaments right now and win. Every tennis player is arrogant coming into pickleball. Yeah. And then they're quickly humbled.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we met at Gilbert Regional Park, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I remember what court it was. It was on the south side.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I did notice. I think I did notice out of everyone there, because on those courts there, it's not the you get a mix, right?
Oh,
there's
yeah.
12 or 16 courts, and then there's total beginners to intermediates, and and I think. Did I move here yet, or was I planning to move?
No, you had moved here, but I think it was extremely recent.
Okay, extremely recent.
I think you were there just to kind of network and get to know people.
Oh, okay.
Maybe try to pick up some people for some lessons.
Yeah.
So it was recent.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I remember that. And then, but what I do remember is you had a lot of skill. And I asked for your number or something. I think I asked for your number.
Yeah, you did.
And then, what's funny about that is I don't think until after that, I don't think we actually hopped on the court for a long time after.
It was
I think like months,
like
like
a year and a half, 2 years.
maybe.
Like, it was a while.
maybe a year. I don't know. Was it that long?
It was a long time.
Okay.
It was a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, like starting a new business here and stuff like that, I had to.
You were very, very busy.
Yeah, like do a lot of stuff, but always trying to find better players to play and drill with. So I think I did call you up, and then I invited you here at some point, and then we reconnected there. So yeah, cool, man. So you started you started off watching videos. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then okay, so you got into pickleball, playing singles and stuff like that, and then up until you started reviewing paddles with us, where was your game, and like what was your like goals, and or I mean, were you just playing rec or?
Oh yeah, so I have a group of like 18 guys that I play with on a regular basis in the mornings, like probably Monday through Friday.
By the way, people would die for 18 players to play with.
Oh, it's amazing. They're 18 players, all are in the 5-0 range, and one of the guys in the group actually bought a piece of property, like maybe like 2 acres, and he sunk down the courts like, I don't know, 5 feet, and there's 3 courts there, and there's nets in between. It's the dream setup. Like, I'm probably one of the luckiest pickleball players in the country with the setup that we have and the group that I have, and that, I mean, they're all like 40-year-olds, and I'm like the young gun out there, and they're legit all my like best friends now. I've been playing with them for 3.5 years straight, seeing them all multiple times a week for a couple hours a day. So it's been really nice. So my aspirations for pickleball, before you asked me to join, I was wanting to do something in the pickleball space. I didn't know what. I actually reached out to you with some questions about coaching.
Oh,
because
I do remember that.
Yeah, I was wanting to do some coaching on the side just to bring in some income and just kind of get my name out there in the pickleball space, and then maybe try to start drilling more consistently and getting those reps in to try to go play in some pro tournaments. But then about maybe like a month and a half later, that's when you asked me to come and do these paddle reviews for you.
Yeah.
And it was an exciting phone call. I was pretty excited that you were considering me out of a couple other people, and so I'm grateful that I'm doing this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I gave Jordan a call. He was totally down. I did actually originally ask you about coaching a little bit, but I asked you, hey, what do you think you would more want to do? So yeah, and it worked out. I think the reviews are just gonna keep getting better and better. And on that note, you said you came from tennis, a little tennis background.
Yeah.
So what else did you play besides that? Or you said a little basketball, or no? I forgot.
No, it wasn't basketball. I played soccer my whole life, from like probably 7 years old all the way up until I graduated high school.
So like Anna Lee then, huh?
Kinda, yeah. Our games are pretty similar,
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I played soccer from 7 to 18 years old.
Okay.
And a lot of the conditioning I had from soccer definitely transitioned into tennis and the footwork aspect of it, and then that transitioned into pickleball. I'm much more out of shape now than I was then, but yeah.
Wow. Okay, so soccer and then tennis. Obviously tennis translate totally to pickleball, and we could talk a lot about that, but anything, I mean, Anna Lee is just amazing, and we're going to talk about her, talking about the nationals coming up. She triple crown there again. But anything from soccer specifically that you think that helped with anything to do with pickleball, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing from soccer even into tennis and then pickleball is learning how to use my body to generate power. Because in soccer, if you just go up at a straight angle and you just go and just try to like kick it without having good technique or turning your body, your hips, it's not going to go anywhere. If you look at the best soccer players in the world, when they go to kick a ball, their whole body is coiled and then at a split second, then they explode and go through the ball. And that's very much so like in tennis and in pickleball. When you hit a drive or a serve, in order to hit it as hard as you can, you need to incorporate your legs and your whole body into the shot at the same time. And that's how the top players in the world, tennis or pickleball, generate all their pace. You never see Ben Johns just making like a super loopy swing with just his arm and not moving the rest of his body. And so soccer taught me how to use my hips and my shoulders to generate power. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that transitioned into tennis and pickleball.
Interesting. What about footwork though?
For sure, footwork.
Like I'm sure. I mean, soccer footwork is crazy, and the conditioning is obviously up there. But like anything footwork wise that you think correlates, or just maybe just getting the habit of moving your feet?
No, absolutely. In soccer, the faster you can move your feet laterally, but also vertically, the better player you're going to be. Because if you have heavy feet and you can't bring your knees up quickly, it means you're going to be slow at running, and you're not going to be able to manipulate and dribble the ball as well. You're not going to be able to do as many moves or deceive people as much. And another thing is with soccer, you have to be able to have very like spatial awareness between, because I played defense majority of the time I played soccer. The position was sweeper.
Just to let you know, I know almost nothing about soccer.
Okay, sure.
So proceed.
Okay,
I'm sure 90% of people won't either. But yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So I played defense, and so on defense, I was constantly watching the forwards coming down the field with the ball, and I would have to.
And are the forwards the ones that actually kick the ball into the goal?
Yeah, those are the ones that are playing offense and the ones that are trying to score. And my job was to try to stop them.
Got it.
And so on defense, you have to have just as good footwork as you do on offense, because you have to try to keep up with them and like position yourself and use your feet to stay in front of them no matter what they're kind of doing. And a lot of it was pushing off of my front foot into my back foot and kind of doing this like back shuffle. And when I think about it, looking at pickleball, when you're at the kitchen line and you kind of get jammed with a ball that's like deep on the line and you don't know if you should take it out of the air or not, having that initial push off of off of my left foot, creating that space, giving me time to either speed up the ball or play like a defensive dink. That's one thing I would say. Just the aspect of using my front leg and pushing off quickly to create that space for the ball is a skill that I have always had since little from playing soccer.
Okay. Wow. Cool. I didn't think about that. Yeah. So I'm sure, I mean, Anna Lee, obviously high level soccer player and a pretty high level tennis player, I could assume. But yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, tennis background. So that's Jordan. You obviously you mentioned kind of in the beginning of the show, you talked about how you when you were in tennis, you were really into tennis.
Oh yeah.
You used to watch tutorials and racket reviews and things like that. So maybe coming full circle, or are you doing it now? It's probably pretty cool then.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely surreal to be like, okay, I would go on and watch all these racket reviews and stuff. Even though I liked the racket that I had, I would still go and watch reviews on different tennis rackets coming out just because I thought it was interesting. And so now that I have the opportunity to do the same thing and kind of take what I observed watching those channels and then try to apply the same things that I was observing from them into this, is really cool to try to figure out how to make the best possible and to try to replicate the success they had.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Okay, cool. Now how about we just get into some, let's talk about your paddle journey.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I talked about this a little bit. Will, Pickleball Will, check him out. Shout out to you, Will. On his channel, we did this quick interview, and he actually asked me about my paddle journey. And so mine, when I first started the game, it was about almost 9 years ago now. So obviously the game is totally different. Yeah, I actually started with the original champion by is it Pickleball Central or Pickleball Inc. or something like that. So I started with that original one. It was graphite, and it was honeycomb, and but it was very sweet spot wasn't that great and stuff like that compared to what we have now.
Sure.
But then I went to a company that no longer exists, and then I went to I was playing nationals with the paddle company that no longer exists, and it was called Evo at that time. And then that is when that was my first nationals. That's actually when I was playing Kyle Yates.
Sure.
And if you don't know who he is, he's a legend of the game too. He plays MLP still, I think. But
Yeah.
anyways, I got sponsored from that. The owner of Engage, Robert Elliott, actually saw that match and saw something in me. So I was with Engage a long time. And then obviously the likes of like Ben Johns, he was with Engage.
Yeah.
It seems like Ben kind of was involved in every new paddle release.
Yeah.
If you viewers don't know that, it'd probably be interesting to get him on the pod sometime, because we talk about Engage helping make the first kind of like a carbon 3x kind of shape paddle.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was the Engage. I'm blanking out right now, but that was like Elite Pro. Okay, and then he moved on to Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
and now he obviously has helped develop the Hyperion. But I was with Engage a long time, obviously playing with different paddles, and then with Selkirk now, obviously. So I just wanted to kind of, that's kind of like my paddle journey. It's looked a little bit different now. Jordan, you are not sponsored.
I am not sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor, but he's not sponsored. And Jordan, why don't you tell me, even if you play with the paddle a little bit, what was your very first paddle in, when is it, 2020 when you started?
Yeah, 2020.
Okay, so let's talk about your very first paddle all the way up until the paddle that you play with today.
Sure. Well, if we're talking like very first paddle when I was playing singles with my uncle, it was just like the Monarch paddles you get from like Walmart.
Monarch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like the Walmart ones you get for $50, and then so I was playing with that, and trying our best to play singles with it. We didn't really know any better, like the difference a paddle makes. We're like, oh, it's fine. Like it's just a plastic paddle. Like how big of a difference could it be? And then I soon found out, and it's funny that I thought that, and now this is what I do all the time. And then I went to Paddle Tech.
Okay.
And I think I used the Tempest
Wave.
Yeah, I used the Tempest Wave for a while, and then from that I went to the Gearbox. It was Gearbox's first honeycomb paddle. It's green.
Got it. So not their like original.
Yeah.
Like after that.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then I went to the original Electrum, the square one, the standard shape one. That was like one of the first paddles that had raw carbon fiber in it.
Okay.
That like people were saying was super legal and stuff. I don't even think it's on this wall.
Not that one, right?
Not that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the second version of that.
Okay.
And so from that square, the original Electrum, then I went to the Electrum Model E. I was with that for a super long time. I'd say I played with that longer than any other paddle.
Yeah. And what did you like about the Model E?
It was just
that was the one that was like really, I remember, like really buttery.
It was super buttery.
Like as in it was like a reset like machine. Like it kind of felt like the original carbon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one that Colin Johns was using.
Yes. All
the way up until he switched over to Yola. It was that exact paddle. And so it was just so buttery. And me learning the game from tennis. I mean, I had plenty of power, like being super into tennis, and so the soft finesse game of pickleball was something that was like very different for me, and that paddle really helped me learn that side of the game. And at the time, that had the most amount of spin out of any other paddle. Yeah, which was a big deal for me coming from tennis, because I have a semi Western forehand grip, and I was trying to use that same grip for all these different pickleball paddles, and it would just go straight to the net. Yeah. And that was the first paddle that actually gripped the ball enough to where I could have a somewhat similar kind of tennis ball kind of top spin dipping into the court. So I stayed with that for a really long time. Okay. And I initially switched from that because the grit on that Model E just wore out so fast. Like within a month of playing, it was a significant difference from out of the box to a month used.
Got it. Yeah.
And from there, I actually switched to the Selkirk Project 003.
Oh. Okay.
And so that was like another really soft paddle, but that one was like too soft for me.
Yeah.
And so at first it was like, oh, this is awesome. Like it's even softer than the Model E. But at that time I was a lot better than I was when I originally started with the Electra Model E. And so now I was looking into getting like more aggressive, more power on my shots. And I was trying to be aggressive with it, but it wasn't doing anything for me.
Yeah.
You know, I was trying to hit harder serves, harder drives, and it just wasn't getting the results. I was swinging as hard as I can with all of my body, and it just felt like it was kind of just poofing over the net compared to some guys using different paddles.
Did you? And then you're talking about that's after lead tape, like even with lead tape.
Yeah, even with lead tape, and lead tape made a big difference, but even still, and so from the 003, that's when I switched, and that's when thermoform paddles kind of came out. I'm like, oh sweet, I want to check these out, and so I actually got the Legacy. That was my next paddle.
Okay.
And I was playing with that, and it just the spin was nice and the thermoform was nice, but it was just like too jarring. The sweet spot didn't feel that good for me, and I might have just got a bad one out of the batch because I initially bought that after watching Chris's review on it in Pickleball Studio, and I got it, wasn't that impressed, and that's when I got the 6-0, and I've been playing with 6-0 ever since.
Okay. All right. So you went from sorry, what was it before?
It was Monarch to Paddle Tech to Electrum, then to 003, then to Legacy, then to the 6-0.
And even with and we won't spoil it for everybody here, but we are coming out. We're working on we as in Jordan is working on a top 5 paddles of 2023. So expect that. This pod is probably going to go out, so expect that in the next week or so. But we're working on that video, and to not give it away, we won't give it away. But you're playing with your favorite paddle though is still the double black diamond. 6-0. What do you like about what do you like about that paddle? And by the way, all of those of you watching asking about a lead tape video, we have to actually me and you, Jordan, gotta work on getting that out. But what do you let's just show really quick. You can, and when you're talking, you can talk to this camera here and kind of show
gotcha.
But where do you let's show them where your lead tape setup is. And then let's talk about what makes this paddle one of your favorites, at least.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it has a hybrid shape, so it kind of tapers ever so slightly at the top. And I think that makes the sweet spot just ridiculously big. So it's extremely forgiving when you're on the defense and the other team is being aggressive and you're just trying to stay in the point and dig out balls. It's super easy because I mean you can hit it on the frame, like on the outside of the edge, and it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, that's a miss hit. Like it will still have enough energy to go get the ball back over into the court.
So it's a big sweet spot.
Huge sweet spot.
It has good spin and what else?
And it has really, really nice pop. It's not like the thing about this paddle as paddles have come out, because this was kind of earlier in the year this came out. And so as paddles have come out more and more, I mean, there's some paddles out there that are more poppy, like the Gearbox, like the new Gearbox Pro Power. But this does everything that you want it to do exceptionally well in every single category. Like this beats most paddles in every category. Like when dinking, this is one of my favorite paddles to dink with, even out of control paddles. Power, it's still like top 5 maybe for power. And then with like resets and just control, it's like top 5 in every single category, in my opinion. And so you take all those things and there's not a single weakness in a paddle. It just gives me a ton of confidence when I'm playing. And I feel like confidence is the thing that makes the biggest difference when you're in like clutch moments where you can just kind of just trust in your equipment and your paddle and the way you play to perform the way you need to. Because if you have a paddle and it's not giving you confidence, you're second guessing the shots you're going to hit. And if you have any kind of second guess when coming into like, okay, I'm going to hit this shot, or if you're not confident hitting a shot, it's almost never going to work out.
Yeah. No. Yeah, good.
So, yeah, it gives me tons of confidence when playing more than any other paddle.
No, that's good, man. I actually haven't spent too much time with it at all, but I've hit with it a little bit. Yeah, it's a really good paddle. Let's quickly talk about your lead tape setup.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of show in that camera.
Yeah.
So, or you want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I have it right here for a specific reason. So I actually got this lead tape setup from Ben Johns when he was doing his lead tape setup video, and he said something that makes tons of sense, and he still does it. But he puts a lead tape near the throat of the paddle because he doesn't want the swing weight to decrease or increase, because he wants his hands to still be fast to the net, but he still wants added stability for the paddle, and he wants the paddle to have a bigger sweet spot. And so when you place it down here, it still gives you that stability, and it still makes the sweet spot even larger than in what this already is. And I mean, if you pay attention to every single pro pickleball player's paddle, I would say 90% of them have lead tape on their paddles. Yeah. And they're picking the exact paddle they want to play with from their sponsors.
Exactly.
And they're still customizing it to be heavier.
Yeah. And again, I guess what I would say is, so you can see right here. So what was this? Maybe 4 inches or so?
It's about 5 inches. Yeah, that's what I measure.
And then from the throat.
It's about an inch from the handle.
And it goes up. And I would say, you said 90% of players, pro players use lead tape.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 90% of pro players have a setup similar.
Yeah, or something
to
like
this.
that.
And the reason for that is exactly what Jordan said about, making the sweet spot feel a little bit more solid, because that extra weight on the sides. And then if you just put it on the top, I mean, that can increase some topspin and stuff more like that, but it's gonna slow down.
It's gonna
slow down the hands.
If you added this same amount of weight to the top of the paddle, it would feel twice as heavy, just because the swing weight would be so much higher.
Okay. All right. So that's what Jordan is playing with. Again, stay tuned to what?
For the top 5?
Yeah. Stay tuned for this top 5 video. You could just put that down or whatever. Okay. Stay tuned for the top 5 video of 2023. I think it's going to be very valuable to those of you who are trying to pick up a paddle before the new year, before Christmas, or maybe for the new year. Just going to shout out a couple of paddles from Selkirk here. Got to do them justice. Selkirk has really, obviously is a big sponsor of the channel. I really appreciate them. And I just think they're a really great company. And when it comes to customer service, I think they are definitely top notch. We talked about the Lux, and I'm still giving this a go. And a lot of you are asking kind of if I'm playing with the Lux, because those of you who have been following the channel, I have previously been playing with the Halo Control 16 Max. So I'm still kind of deciding here. Again, go watch the review that Jordan did on the new Selkirk Lux. A very, very control-oriented paddle. Obviously, it's the manufactured paddle that's made from the 003.
Yeah.
If you need a lot of power, this is not going to be for you.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy this for resets, and I am enjoying the Epic version, something like that. But I'm still kind of figuring it out. I went back, actually. I drilled the other day with this the Halo Max, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm just gonna have to figure it out. Actually, Jordan, you haven't spent much time with this at all.
I really haven't. It's very interesting. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll get his thoughts on it on a future video. But shout out to Selkirk there. Shout out to Selkirk there. And I think it'd be cool to just kind of show the people, or the listeners or followers out there, if you're just listening to this, sorry you can't see it, but we might show you a couple of paddles that may be in the works. Comment below if you want us to do a full review of any of these paddles. We may do a first take, a first look. We're not sure, but I kind of want to show you what's coming down the pipeline, okay? So obviously with a Triple Crown winner. What is the date here? November 12th. So we have obviously Anna Lee's paddles are going to be coming out soon. I'm actually not sure if I can show this on camera yet, but I will
We'll blur it out, maybe.
I'll show you the grips. These are the butt caps of the new Anna Lee Waters paddles. So that's all I can show you.
The review for those will be coming out.
Yeah, so
whether that's a first look or a full video.
They look really nice, and I should have thought about that before this podcast. But comment below if you want the new Anna Lee water paddles review. Jordan's gonna definitely check those out.
I mean, I think Anna Lee's using it right now. I think she's using her paddle right now.
Is she? Does it look like this?
Yeah, it has the crown. It has the crown on it and stuff.
Okay, all right. You know what? I don't know. I don't think I could get in trouble, but here we go. We got we got Anna Lee's new paddles coming out here. We got a 14.3 and a 12.7.
Interesting. Yeah.
So for my limited time playing with these, I mean, just paddle techs in general, they're pretty poppy. I tried their newer downline before this, so yeah, really cool, fun paddles coming up. And then we got the 6-0 double black diamond infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, why don't you hold that up there?
Yeah,
that's a really cool one. Now, is that John May's paddle, or is that just a new? I
think this is they built it for his desired spec.
That's what I thought, but then I watched him play, and he has a pink edge guard around, unless he just have a different color.
I bet, because this is an edgeless paddle,
yeah.
And so you know how 6-0 has like different colors with like the white lines and stuff.
Yeah.
So it could just be this same edgeless paddle. It's just a pink instead of white. It's pink.
Okay.
So
all right. So to our knowledge right now, obviously 6-0 is Jordan's one of his favorite paddles right now.
Yeah.
This infinity, man, you're gonna have to try.
Yeah, I will.
And I have to see how that is.
I haven't always been a fan of edgeless paddles, but I'm sure it's gonna be great. I mean, Chris from Pickleball Studio played with it a little bit, and he also really likes the 6-0 double black diamond. He said for an edgeless paddle, it's really good.
Okay.
So
okay,
we'll see if that's true.
All right, we'll have to take his word for it. Okay, and then we got the new. This has kind of stayed under the radar here, right? Even Chris and Will kind of talked about the new, what do we call this? Basically, it's a new Hyperion series with the core and basically the Perseus in the old Hyperion shape is what I gather. And yeah, they have a 16 and a 14. It's called the C2. So that will be coming out. And for any of these paddles, any reviews that we do, just, use our discount code Briones PB. That really helps out the channel. But if you guys want an update on this paddle, go ahead and leave a comment below. And how much time have you spent with the original Perseus? You hit it a little bit, right?
Yeah. So I bought the original Perseus. I literally played with it. So the 6-0 and the Perseus came out. They both got shipped to my house the exact same day.
Oh.
So I brought them both out to the court, super excited. I was wanting to like the Perseus so much. I was so excited to play with it. And I started to play with it. I'm like, okay, that's not as good as I thought it was going to be. And then that was the first game I played with the Perseus that day.
Yeah.
And then the second game I switched to the 6-0. I was like, oh, this is way better.
Wow. Okay.
And so, and since then I probably played one more game with the Perseus just to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just, to me, it felt pretty clunky. The sweet spot felt pretty small.
Yeah.
The spin wasn't nothing special. It just wasn't special.
Okay. Well, there you go. Honest feedback on the original Perseus. But let's so did you get rid of it, or did you still have it?
I literally returned it. I literally returned it, got my money back.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'd ever play with that over the 6-0.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Perseus story. I'm sure Ben John's gonna have to have
sorry, Ben.
Well, I'm sure he's gonna have something in the works next year.
For sure will.
But then we got the new move-ins, the new move-ins here. The move-in 13S and the move-in 16X, and these, per other reviewers, have gotten some really good feedback. So comment below if you want us to do a series on this. Maybe I'm thinking maybe a potential series so we can review multiple of them at the same time, or if you want a certain move-in groove-in paddle. But great company. I've sent some emails back and forth with the owner, and actually I've talked to him a couple years back now. So, but it seems like they're doing really good stuff there.
Yeah.
And then lastly here, I just want to talk about the now this is the control. I think you have the power. I don't know, the power somewhere else, but
Yeah, I have the power.
The new Gearbox Pro models, okay, have gotten a little bit of flack recently on I guess, what do we call it, manufacturer errors or something like that. We've gotten some comments on the channel and things like that, and I think that Chris Olsen from Pickleball Studio has mentioned a lot on his podcast and stuff like that. So if you are experiencing some defects, or if I've even heard a comment where it says like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's a lot of power.
Yeah, it's
and
like
things like that. So I mean, the ones that we tested, or the ones that you tested,
yeah,
I mean, they're coming
exactly the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they're coming off.
coming
off pretty hot, and that's why the review was very similar to Chris's review. It's a great, it's a really great paddle. So I just hope they clean that up. I think Rafa, I've actually known Raphael, the owner of Gearbox, for quite a while now. So shout out to you, Raphael. So I'm sure that they're going to get paddles squared away with the ones that didn't work out to be good and things like that.
For sure.
Any other paddles we think we're coming out with? But I don't know if you have any other brands. I know there's a whole brands people ask us to review. The Pickleball Apes, I think that's one I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Different paddles. Anyways, always comment any paddle review that we do. Drop a comment.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Okay, where do we go from here? We got some questions. We can talk about, even since when I started the game, the paddle industry and the game has skyrocketed. But let's talk about how much the paddle industry has changed the game. And me as a coach, I can tell you a lot, but just in your experience, Jordan, because you started in 2020, so not that long ago. 3 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
But you kind of mentioned it with the Model E a little bit, but let's talk about how just in the 3 years that you've been part of the game, what are the main things that you see?
Sure. I mean, there are way more drives now. Everything's way faster. Like,
yeah,
if you don't have really good dinks with the paddles now, with how popular they are, it takes one flick pop volley, and the speed up game is started, and then it's just bang bang bang, and it's like, okay, whoever has the fastest hands is probably number one differentiator who's going to win that point. But number two is what kind of paddle they're using. Because if I'm using a Selkirk Lux and you're using a Gearbox Pro Power, then I'm probably going to lose that majority of the time.
Yeah, when it comes to that particular scenario. And so everything is just faster now. If you look at the pro game compared to like even 3 or 4 years ago to now, it's way different. I feel like pros used to speed up the ball even more than they used to at the pro level, because the ball was moving slower, and it's just now if you get a counterpunch from a pro player, it's pretty much over. If you don't have a really good speed up spot location, if you're going for this chicken wing shoulder and you miss a little bit this way and it's at their chest, they're just it's gonna be right back on top of you before you can even really react. Yeah.
And so
yeah. So obviously, I've been teaching for 8 years now, and Yeah, obviously, I guess the biggest key thing, power. You just talked about
Spin.
it, but spin, top spin, underspin, particularly top spin. When I started the game, I don't even know honestly if there was any. And I say that obviously, right? There was players hitting some sort of topspin and things like that. But you go back to now, I haven't even really. I started in early 2015. So when you look at like the footage from like 2012, and you look at the championship matches in there, it's
It's so different.
very slow. And there's not a lot of topspin. Everyone's lifting. There's some slice, but I think topspin really has changed the game. Obviously, like today, two-handed backhands, huge part of the game, not just in the women's side, but in the men's side. We're seeing it especially in singles, not only in singles, in doubles as well. So if you do not know how to hit topspin, you're definitely going to cap yourself. And that's why in the 2-day intensives I teach and things like that, topspin is things I get is one of the areas that I get asked about a lot, how to create it, how to hit it. So so that's obviously, I think, a big part. And like you said, the speed. So
topspin for sure, because it changed the game from, if you want to hit it hard, it's just flat, to now the ball is aggressively dipping into the court. And you can hit serves way harder. Like the spin and the power are like a combo.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and you see some of these pro players top spin like third shot drops.
Yeah.
They shuffle around, they run around their backhand, and they have this freaking crazy whip. And it, especially in singles, you're like, oh, they're going to hit a passing shot. And they hit this like crazy looping third that lands in the corner. Then they close the kitchen and they just mop up the point. Yeah. So I would say, to your point, I think spin has changed the game more than power has.
Yeah. So hopefully, not hopefully, we know the game's going to change more and more. I think as the paddle technology kind of keeps evolving, we're going to see the game evolve. And that's the next question, I guess, Jordan. We're going to bring that up.
Yeah.
So like paddle tech, like where do we see it going from here?
Not the company.
Yeah.
Just like.
Oh, there you go. Not paddle tech, but paddle.
Technology.
Space tech. Where do we see it going from here? What can it do? What do you foresee, Jordan?
Honestly, there's only so much more they can do as far as making it hit harder. They can only make it feel so much better. I think we're going to start transitioning into longevity of paddles more than, okay, how hard can we make it hit or how soft can we make it feel? Because right now, if you're playing aggressive pickleball, 3-4 times a week, you're going to be running through paddles 3 or 4 months, and then you got to get a new one, whether it delaminates somehow or something happens with the core, or the grit on the face is just so different that you're not able to hit the same shots as you did before.
Yeah, and on that, talking about paddle wear, delamination, I think the delamination issue is getting resolved for the most part. But on paddle wear, most of you listening right now, I would, even when people are like looking for paddles and stuff like that, I would say the majority of players are not going to wear their grit out as fast or as they think. So even when reviews come out and things like that, or comments are out there saying like, oh, the grit wears out or whatever. I mean, I use the same paddle for a long time, and I don't see that big of a difference. I think if you're playing at a really high level and your technique allows you to get a lot of spin, you're probably going to go through paddles a lot more. But for the average person, I don't know. I guess I'm the kind of line of thinking like I don't think that they should worry about it too much. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. I mean, with the 6-0 I was playing for a while before it kind of started, it was like good, and then all of a sudden it had like a pretty sharp decline. But up until that point, I was going strong like 4.5 months, and I was playing 10 to 15 hours a week, like heavy drives, serves, topspin. Like I was abusing it as far as like hitting it hard.
Yeah, and Jordan here, like 99% of you watching this are not going to hit it as hard as he does. So
if you're just more, you're in the realm between 3.5 and 4.5, you really shouldn't be wearing out grit on, especially these new paddles as they've gotten better within, I don't know, at least 6 months.
Yeah. Like I would say at least a good indicator there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as for paddle technology, I really think that kind of like you said, there's got to be a cap on power at some point, just physics.
Yeah.
And then
it's not fun.
Yeah. And then touch, like, I don't know, can we have potentially the power of a Gearbox Pro and the control and touch of a Lux in the same paddle?
They're definitely trying. Like Ronbus, their new permeable edge grid technology, they call it like Gen 3 paddles. They did something like that, and it kind of feels like that. It's like when you hit it hard, it's really stiff and firm, and then when you hit those soft dinks control shots, you can feel the face soften up. It like adapts to your shot, and that's exactly what the new Gearbox series does as well. Well, more of like the Pro, with the control, it's just soft all around.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll see how the game evolves with that. Let's see. We had other questions on here. How a paddle can change the outcome of a game? I mean, you kind of alluded to that a little bit.
Yeah, like if you have one pro player, like let's say you gave Ben Johns a Walmart paddle against JW with his preferred paddle, I don't think Ben Johns is gonna win with the Monarch compared to JW with his.
You know what? That would actually be a really good experiment to see, like how or what tournaments Ben can win with and then keep lowering the tier of paddles.
Yeah, you're like
Gen 1, like wouldn't.
Like how sucky of a paddle can you use and still beat everyone?
Yeah. But paddles, obviously, at some point, they have a lot to do with performance.
Absolutely.
And again, we're talking about peak performance at the highest level. And that's kind of the thing, too, with all of you watching. It's like, they're like a Gen 1 carbon fiber, thermoform, whatever, then to Gen 2 to Gen 3. For the average player, that's not going to move the needle in your game. You know what the move is? The needle you need to move is you might need to get proper coaching. Okay, maybe sign up for a 2-day intensives. Link in the description below. No, but seriously, I think that technique, footwork. But I say that because it's the truth, and I think at higher levels, I mean the margins get smaller and smaller.
Absolutely.
And obviously, I think it's way more evident there.
For sure, I would say invest into getting better coaching before invest into getting a better paddle. Like if you want to spend $250 on something, and if it's between a paddle and coaching, pick the coaching, because that's going to be with you for forever. And a paddle, I mean, you can like a paddle, but then it's just whatever. It's not going to make you play better. The knowledge you gain from a really good coach is going to it's not even comparable. The knowledge you get from a really good coaching session, 1 or 2, compared to getting a new paddle. Like it'll probably feel better, the paddle wise, but you're still gonna have the same awkward shots that you've been trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Like the only difference between a pro player and you guys is the knowledge of how to execute certain shots and when to hit it. That's it. Knowledge is the only gap, and you only get that knowledge by either really paying attention and watching pro players' shot selections, or you go and get really good coaching.
Yeah. There you go, everyone. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about most of the kinds of paddles pros use.
Yeah.
I think that something like it's on the bottom here, but something like the Lux, okay? And as much as Selkirk, great company, like for the Lux, for example, besides Jack Sock, I don't see anyone really using it, and I'm going to tell you why, but they're going to probably use some other. Now, Pesationi, I think, is using it, but he has a lot of power too. He has ridiculous power.
He probably hits the ball harder than anyone else I know. Like him and Daniel De La Rosa, I think they are
Yeah.
the top for
Yeah.
how hard to hit the ball.
So again, you just talked about how the game is getting really fast at the highest level, the margins are really slim. You talked about like a little lifted dink is going to be a little pop there, here and there, and then when that hands battle ensues, even if your hands are faster, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you give maybe Ben Johns a Lux,
Yeah.
right? He's not going to be able to counter.
Can't finish. Yeah.
The same way, so that when it comes back to J.W. Johnson or whoever is on the other side of the net, Riley, then the counter is not going to be as aggressive, and then he could find himself in a situation. But that doesn't mean that. Also, again, like we're talking about pro players here, right? If you are a 3-5, and I kind of see this all the time. What's really funny is a lot of the pros, they play with, now Selkirk signed pros. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
They play with a Power Air right now. Power Air Invicta. We got Catherine Peranza. We got Dylan Frazier.
Or like the 002 with like.
Or the 002.
Ignanowicz and McGuffin.
Yeah, so we have like pro players like that playing with very, very poppy paddles. Caden Nemeth, he plays with the Power too, but their technique is so solid and their touch is very, very good that they can control it. I actually have a lot of 3.5s that come through trainings with me, and they actually use the Power Air, and that's actually something I actually don't recommend, like a paddle like that.
Yeah.
For
a beginner,
4 3.5s or below, but for 4-5 plus, I think that if you have a good control and you're working up your speed up game, or you're working on your counter game, like I think then that's a conversation to be had. But I think at lower levels, having a paddle that you can control the best way possible, because your controls are already still getting there.
When you're lower level, your whole goal is just to stay in the point. Like, you just want to, who can be the most consistent is going to win at the lower levels.
You're right. Totally right.
Like that you're not going to hit very many winners at the kitchen line or even off a drive when you're a 3-5 leading into a 4-0. It's just not going to happen. The people that can stay in the points and be most consistent is going to be the people that win at that level. Yeah,
no, really good, man. Really good stuff.
And the control paddle is definitely how you're going to get that.
Yeah. And control paddles, comment below if you want to, we may at some point do a top 5 control paddles. But we're talking about the likes of, obviously, the new Lux is a great one. Control paddles. What else we got?
I heard the Move-In 13S was like really good.
The Move-In is going to be on there.
Very surprised, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of others. The regular,
like the Warrior or something.
Yep, and then the original Carbon, Carbon 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Not the X, the non-X Carbon.
Yeah, not the Power Series.
That was actually one of my favorite paddles before I came over to Selkirk. I mean, that thing, I just remember that thing would just block, man.
Yeah, it just feels like it's like sinking. It's like it's like a tramp, just sinks into the paddle so much.
Yeah. And then again, as you've been doing more reviews, and you're going to be doing a lot more, Jordan, but one of the things we have on here is different paddles are built for different players. And even in the most recent, so check it out, most underrated paddle of the year, the Carbon Power Series. Check out the last video we just dropped. But you were Jordan here was talking about how there's a 1X, 2X, and 3X, and he kind of adapted his game style a little bit when he was paddle testing those and playing multiple games. And so why don't you talk about, what do you think? So what does that mean when different paddles can be more built for different players, or also, they're just like, different paddles are, there we go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I've seen from play testing these different paddles is that every paddle has its strengths and weaknesses. And if you try to play, like if I try to play my typical game, which is pretty aggressive, with a paddle that's not meant for that, it's just not going to reward me the same way as if I try to play more controlled. Like with the Luxes, if I'm going out there trying to play like a banger and just try to swing away, it's not going to work very well, because the ball's just coming so much lower than what I'm typically used to, opposed to me, okay, how about I just slow it down, hit some more drops, and get in the kitchen and like really move the ball around kitchen-wise and just play some solid defense. I would probably end up winning more games playing to that paddle's strengths rather than just trying to be stubborn and play the same way I'm always playing. So that's been the biggest thing, is that people shouldn't go out and just buy every paddle that we review, as much as we would love that.
Or you could.
You definitely could. But if you should, it's like, if you have a weakness, in your game, you need to be trying to find a paddle that helps that weakness and improve on it and become a strength. So if you don't have power, try to find a paddle that gives you more power, just enough to where you can still control it and not be losing a bunch of points because of pop-ups. But then you don't have to try super hard to overcompensate and hit extra hard and kind of be uncontrolled with your drive or your serve. So just pick a paddle that complements your weaknesses. Don't, like, if you're trying to.
I really like that. Actually, on that point, I'm thinking here a good question would be, on the weaknesses, would you rather, and this is kind of on the spot question, but would you rather have, would you suggest someone pick a paddle to make their weaknesses better or cover them, or a paddle to improve their strengths that they already have? Which one would you?
That's a really good question. I think it depends on the level of player.
Okay.
Like if it's a beginner and you're like, man, I really am having a hard time like controlling my shots, I think you should definitely pick a paddle that is more control oriented, so you can accomplish and get that down. But if you're a more advanced player, I would say lean to a paddle that complements your strengths more. Like if you're already really good and your technique is already solid, like if you have a really good drive, I would say pick a paddle that complements that, so it becomes even more of a weapon. And then you're good enough at that point to where you can just work on your touch game or whatever it is with that new paddle and just kind of get it under control. That way your strength already is a weapon and you can make it even more lethal. Like if someone was like, I have a really good drive, and then they picked up a Gearbox Pro Power, and it's just like unbelievable at that point, and then they just learn to control the touch and feel of that paddle. I think that's what the pros do. The pros lean into paddles that into their strengths rather than their weaknesses, because they're good enough to work on the weaknesses to dial it in and get whatever shot they need to work on under control.
I
don't know. That's at least what I think.
No, I like that answer. And then I like what you said earlier, going back to get a paddle, get the most powerful paddle that you can get,
you can possibly
handle or control. So, and that goes back to what I'm saying. And like if you're trying to find the most powerful paddle, like we just came out with the Gearbox Pro video, but you're a 3.0, maybe, possibly 3.25, 3.5 even. But you can't reset for anything for your life, right? And your dinks are already popping up with maybe a soft paddle. Then they're not. Then they're probably gonna pop up a little more.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just just little physics there. You know?
And I mean that's why there's 3 categories now. There's control, there's all court, which is the middle, and then there's power. And I feel like a lot of pros, they do have power paddles, but then the other half of the pros, they're using like an all-court paddle.
That's really interesting.
Ben Johns, Perseus is an all-court paddle.
More all-court. More all-court.
For sure, all-court. Colin, I would still consider the Scorpius an all-court paddle, but more emphasis on the control. So there's like 2 levels within all-court paddles as well. You can have a more aggressive all-court paddle and a less aggressive, more control-oriented all-court paddle. And I think most people are going to fit in the all-court paddle range because it does everything well. It's not like insanely powerful to where you can just obliterate people off the court with if you have a really good drive, but it's just the all well-rounded thing that a paddle you can rely on that doesn't have a weakness is really appealing.
I really like that. So that's actually why you like the double black diamond. 6-0.
I really do think it's one of the top, if not the top, all court paddle that there is, and it's just it doesn't have a weakness, and it does everything really well.
You know what? You haven't tried the the Project 006 yet, huh?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
that's
we might have to do
First,
another.
little first look for
Yeah.
Yeager.
Yeah, because I think as all court paddle, I
Uh-huh.
think that's a really good one. And then yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you think about that. But yeah, no, I think that's really, really good. We just came out with the new Nova Ronbus R3.
Yeah.
That's
That's
definitely a really
all-court
good
paddle.
all court paddle. Maybe
It's
you'll
like,
have to see if it's gonna make it in the top 5 paddles of the year. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's like, I would say the double black diamond is more on the aggressive side of the all court paddle, and then the R3 is pretty smack dab neutral. Like
Yeah,
if there's a spectrum to where it's like control all court and like power all court, it is really in the middle.
yeah,
And it's because of the new grid technology they're doing. It's like it gives you both.
yeah.
It's not unbelievable at either, but it's just all around
Yeah.
really good.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about all the pros, they're playing with the most powerful paddle that they can, like, that exists, or more all court. So
Yeah.
like Anna Lee, like let's look all top pros. Anna Lee Waters, we got the paddle tech. That's probably gonna be more all court.
Yeah. And then
Right.
like even someone like Zach Wilson, he on the PPA,
Wait, who?
Zach Wilson. So he's kind of like a sleeper pro. He's like
Zach Wilson.
yeah, he's unbelievable, and he does really, really well in MLP, and he's been doing really well in PPA recently. But he plays with, I think it's Carbon made another version of the paddle form. It's like a 12 millimeter 1X.
Oh no, you know what? I heard that's Thomas Wilson's. Oh,
Not
Zach
Wilson, not the
Zach
quarterback.
Wilson. Okay, I was
Thomas-
like, okay,
Thomas,
Jordan's
yeah,
really
too much
confused
football.
right now. Okay, yeah. Thomas Wilson.
Thomas
no,
Wilson.
everyone knows who Thomas
Yes,
Wilson.
yes. You're like, who's Zach?
No, we got a comment actually on that. I think today or yesterday, but yeah, they made him a 12 millimeter paddle and just for more, because again, Thomas has already great hands, great control. He
Yeah,
probably wants
unbelievable.
something a little bit thinner for those hands battles
top.
at the elite level.
And then you have like Riley Newman with his Takea paddle, and even before Takea, he was using Gamma all court paddle. Then you have like J Dub with his Franklin all court paddle.
Yeah.
So there's I would say like half the pros are using all court, and the other half are using power paddles. I mean,
Yeah. Interesting.
name one pro besides Jack Sock, and he hasn't even played many events recently. He's like a pro technically, but
Yeah. Here's my little hunch. I honestly think that Jack Sock's going to do very well. I don't know what his training regimen is going to be, but I do see him playing with the Lux. But if he really takes it seriously, I have a feeling that they're going to make a new paddle
for him specifically.
next year that's going to be more on the all court side.
Yeah.
That's my hunch.
I would agree very much. Because once again, he came from tennis, so all power. That's all he's ever known his entire life is just smash the serve and smash forehands. And now he's getting into pickleball. He struggles with that touch side. From tennis his whole life, it's just muscle memory to hit the ball hard. But as he continues to practice and drill, he's gonna start getting the touch down, the pickleball touch. And once he gets that down, he's gonna want, okay, I can play with something with more pop and more power now. And when he gets the paddle of his liking, I mean, he could easily have the hardest forehand on tour.
Yeah.
I mean, he had one of the hardest forehands in the world for tennis.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Everyone, comment below if you want to see Mr. Yeager here being some more podcasts, or maybe we do a monthly, or we do some sort of kind of like paddle talk or something. Comment below if you want to hear the upcoming paddle reviews that we have going on, kind of paddle news and things like that. Now let's get right to nationals. That just ended. Caden actually went over there. I gotta check his results. I know that he made it to the main draw, but
Nice.
I want to. I don't know how he fared out there, but obviously we have the results in now, and maybe we could talk about paddles as we talk about the results here.
Oh.
But you talked about how you saw Ben Johns got beat
Yeah, in singles.
in singles. So why don't you? I think it was Chris Hayworth, I believe.
Yeah.
And Chris was using the new Gearbox Pro Power.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So what did you see in that what did you see in that game?
Yeah.
And I don't know, just talk a little bit about. I watched a little bit of it, but you talk a little bit about that match and how much do you think Paddle Tech had to do with it?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to discredit Chris at all. He played really well. He was hitting his spots, really good passing shots. I mean, I think he got very lucky with the amount of net courts he got that were in his favor. Some of them were for straight up winners. Some of them were just enough to throw Ben's timing off to where he missed the next shot. But it was disproportionately in his favor. I'm talking like
how many are we talking?
10.
No.
Like 10 over the 2 games.
10.
10.
Like
10,
literally 10.
Literally 10 points in the 2 games that went Chris's way, and to helping him win a point. And you could definitely tell that it was irritating Ben.
If Colin got 10, he'd probably walk away and then quit.
Yeah. And then Ben wasn't playing his best either. So it was a combination of Chris playing very, very well, getting some really lucky net courts, and then Ben not even close to being at the top of his game. But then I thought to myself, if Chris was using like a normal paddle, let's say Chris was using a normal paddle. A
non-Gearbox Pro.
The Gearbox Pro is the craziest paddle I've ever played with. But if he was using something like the Perseus and then they played, like I wonder how big of a difference it'd make, because Chris, I know he's a good player and he can generate lots of power, but it did not seem like he was swinging very hard, and Ben was not even close to some of these balls, and he can anticipate shots better than pretty much anyone else on tour.
Yeah.
And he was just getting just blatantly smoked down the line, angles. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go watch that. So that was the upset, obviously, of the day. Fun fact on kind of just stats. Yeah, every time there's an indoor, I don't know why. Do you know why they moved it to indoor facility last minute?
I have no idea.
Okay, but anyways, Ben, for whatever reason, his winning percentage when they move it indoor is very, very low. For whatever reason, it's kind of just bad luck.
I know the courts play a little differently indoors than they do outdoors, but I mean. Yeah. It's marginal. Like
no, it shouldn't be a thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's
just mental.
I don't know. We'll see. But congratulations, right here from USA Pickleball to J.W. Johnson as the BioFreeze USA Men's Singles National Champion. So obviously talking about paddles, all court, kind of with the Franklin there. And then he beat Jaume Martinez Vic, who is obviously a really great player, tennis player, up and comer, and he's playing with
the 6-0 with his new one.
We just talked about the new Infinity double black diamond. So actually, Jaume has been. I think that's how you say it. Probably butchering it.
I think so.
But he's definitely been making huge waves, and his game has elevated. Even his doubles game I've seen has gotten a lot better. But I think exciting players to watch. He's a good one. And then we have Anna Lee and Catherine Peranto. I think they played together.
Yeah.
So they got the women's doubles. And you know what? I don't know who they played against. Was it against the Briones? It might have been.
It wouldn't surprise me. They've been playing really good.
No way. Did they make it to the final? Okay. Shout out to Mary and Maggie.
I don't know.
Rasha? Okay. But anyways, so yeah, AL and Catherine Peranto, obviously they took the gold there. And let's see what we got here. Colin and Ben.
Big surprise.
Big surprise there. So the Brasha sisters, you know what? One of them I know is playing with Selkirk. I think the Power Air, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'll have to go look into that. But surprise. Catherine Power Air, so Power Paddle. Then we got Annalie Waters, her paddle. I would say more to the all court.
Yeah, but all court power. Though.
All court power.
It's in that realm.
Yeah, maybe we make like a tier list.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
We do something like that. But we got the, what is it called? The brothers here, Ben and Colin. And you know what? Who did they play here? I could just quickly do this. But Ben and Colin, obviously the Perseus and the Scorpius. So we got all court paddles around there.
Yeah.
And wow, they look pretty excited there. Sorry, I'm not showing any of this, but yeah, Nationals a really, really big tournament of the year.
It's a big deal. It's like a Grand Slam.
Yeah, really big.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then we got Ben Johns and Annalie Waters, surprise for the mixed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not new.
Yeah. I think anytime Ben doesn't get a triple crown, he's just like so irritated.
Yeah, well, yeah, he lost the singles, so he couldn't get it. But Annalie, so he obviously won with Ben. Surprise. But it says here that via Carvana PPA Tour that Annalie Waters saves 4 match points to pull off the come from behind win, claiming Nationals women's singles title and another triple crown.
That's insane. It's the biggest stage in pickleball, and to be down 4 points and to have the mental fortitude to come back and win 4 match points.
4.
That's insane.
4. So
that's insane.
Yeah, Annalie, elite soccer player.
I mean,
elite tennis
I
player.
don't know what the women are gonna do. She's literally 16 years old, and no one can touch her.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally have an argument, right, of the next decade.
Yeah,
being kind of dumb, like, well, and then you look at Djokovic from tennis. He's 36, so you can say maybe the next 2 decades. I don't know.
Like, there might have to be a really good female pro tennis player come and just like be obsessed.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because now pickleball has money.
Yeah,
with the insane contracts from MLP and the PPA, like you're gonna see lots of really, really good talent from tennis and from other racket sports like racquetball, badminton, ping pong. All those things translate, and I think the level of entry is gonna get a lot higher into the pro game now that there's more money involved.
Yeah, it already is, and whoever's gonna take down Annalie consistently on a consistent basis in the future, and I think that is coming, by the way. I don't know how long. It might take a while, but you're right.
It's gonna take a while.
You're right. It's going to definitely be a very, very high level tennis player that's going to be 100% committed. But Annalie, for now, we crown you as the GOAT.
She's
the female GOAT.
She hasn't lost a single time this year.
I don't know.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, she might have lost one with Ben or something like that, but we'll have to look at that.
Maybe that was like singles.
Yeah.
Or a specific event.
Yeah.
Maybe not all matches.
Yeah. I don't think Ben and Annalie have lost. And like, I don't even know if they've lost.
Ben is so dominant on the men's side, and then Annalie's probably even more dominant on the women's side, and you pair them together and mix, like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. So but there goes the Nationals titles for you. If you were watching, I thought it was well live streamed, and I got to go back and watch some more matches, analyze some stuff, because there was some really high level play. I
have a quick question for you.
Yeah, sure.
In going into this next year and into the years to come, what shot do you think is going to be? Do you think there's going to be more emphasis on any specific shot?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. Yeah. You know what? Putting on the spot, that's a tough one. But if I were to guess, I'm gonna go. Now, Zane Navratil thinks that Tomahawk is gonna take over the game. I don't agree. So shout out to you, Zane. But I don't quite agree. I'll tell you 3, and they all revolve around the same thing.
Okay.
Two-handed topspin drops, two-handed topspin dinks, and two-handed speed ups.
Yep.
So just to be on the spot now, if I had some more time to kind of think about it, I think that there's probably some more. But we've seen that transition from the forehand side.
Absolutely.
Topspin drops, topspin dinks, and then speed ups. But I think you could even see Ben kind of messing around with it, and not even messing around with it. In singles, you can see him topspin dropping
all the time.
With topspin now in two hands, and then you also see, what did I say? Yeah, topspin dinks. I saw him the other day throwing some in. Okay,
yeah,
so a little
backhand flicks.
and then so again, it's just everything's leveling up from here. So at the program game right now, just how it stands, you can, I would say, I wouldn't even say, 99. I don't know, 90% of pros or more attack better from their forehand side.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Not 100%, but like really 99. Besides Riley.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple.
Because
right.
The go-to play is third shot drop to the backhand.
Yeah.
Like not to the middle to the person playing on the left. You're gonna drop to the backhand. You're gonna close the net, and they're gonna get to the kitchen.
Yeah.
But as you see people start developing that two-handed backhand, some people can hit it harder with a two-handed backhand.
Well, some people are more accurate. They can hit it with more spin.
Like Connor Garnett is insane with that, and then
Colin Schick.
Yeah,
got Anna Lee. But anyways, I think as the gap closes with we got even at the pro level, right? It's not just amateurs.
Yeah.
Amateurs, their forehands, most of them are way better than backhands. But at the pro level, right, their forehand attacks, drops, dinks are here, and then their backhand is here. So I think that it's going to, I think the two-handed backhand is going to be so necessary going forward as a game. I mean, even something in my game, I've been working a little bit more on my two-handed things and stuff like that. But man, I don't know. I think that's one of them.
Do you think that's going to be the case with volleys, like two-handed backhand volleys, or do you think it's more so just ground strokes and dinks?
Yeah, more so ground stroke and dinks. But what I can say is the volleys are gonna come.
Because you see all the women, the top women, they just kind of lock it right here and just they just kill the ball with their two-handed volleys.
Yeah, I study and I watch Ben Johns a lot. I really think it's going to be the best players are going to have some sort of a hybrid. So Ben, right, we got really good off roll volleys, one hand, and then he's got obviously counters here, and he's worked on this. He's worked on a two-handed counter.
Yeah, when he's stretched down the line.
Yeah,
kind of stab.
And not even just that, he's using it, I think, more and more in some exchanges. So yeah, I think that's definitely coming down the pipeline. Something I've been working on my own game. So if you're not using two hands right now,
start experimenting.
I would say start experimenting. And one of the things that people ask me all the time in the 2-day intensive is like that's a big thing that people want to learn now. And that was not the case. That was not the case like 2 years ago. So.
Well, it's just like you can go from hitting what are you gonna do? You're gonna hit a backhand slice down the line winner. It's not gonna happen. It's like very low %.
Yeah.
But you slap another hand on there and you hit a backhand drive.
Yeah.
Oh, pro players are killing people with that now.
Yeah.
And that's just brought Ben's singles game even to another level as he's incorporated that.
You're right. Yeah. Without Ben's two-handed backhand work, he would not be winning golds today.
Yeah, I agree.
That's right. There you go.
Totally
There's just a good example there. So yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Again, I just wanted to introduce everyone here to Jordan Yeager.
Yep.
Okay. Let's not get it confused. Okay. But so comment below if you want to see him on the pod again, and then also shout out something nice to him, or if you see a paddle review or something like that, and leave a comment below on some paddles that you would like us to review. There's a ton out there. We can't get to everything for sure, but we will try to get to what we can. Any last thoughts?
Just really appreciate you guys, watching this podcast. The paddle reviews are going to continue to come out, and just appreciate the support and the viewership of those as well. So
okay,
I'm trying to make them the best as possible, the most unbiased as possible, so you guys know where to spend your money.
There you go. All right. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.